You're about to watch me read How to End a Love Story by Yulin Kuang. My expectations for this book are honestly pretty high, especially knowing that Yulin Kuang is a screenwriter and a director, so somebody who has that kind of like background writing a book that takes place in that kind of like entertainment industry, I think is really gonna shine through in the writing and the characters and the setting. So I'm really excited about that. And I have high expectations as well, because this is the April book of the month and it's like the early release and it seems to be everywhere I look now. So people seem to be enjoying it and I'm really excited and I really hope I enjoy it as well. So from my understanding, How to End a Love Story follows two characters, Helen and Grant. And they knew each other like 13 years ago because there was like this accident that kind of like bound them together. But because of this accident, they don't want to associate with each other anymore. So I don't know what happened. Maybe it was like some kind of influenced drinking and driving kind of thing. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, they don't talk to each other. So you can imagine 13 years later when Helen's like this really famous author and her book is being turned into a screenplay, Grant kind of comes in because he works in the entertainment industry on TV and movies and stuff, and like he knows he shouldn't work with her because of their past, but it's good for his career. And so you can imagine there's definitely going to be a lot of like tension, there's going to be a lot of emotions, there's going to be a lot of messy situations, and I'm really excited to see like how the author handles it and how the characters are going to grow and develop throughout the entire book. So without further ado, let's crack the book open. But wait, we already know the drill. Dust cover's got to come off first. I like the color of this one. I think it's a nice contrast and it's very love-like, which is cute, but also kind of spring-like, which is also good. So let's read for real. I'm about 100 pages into How to End a Love Story, and here are my thoughts so far. This is a very well-written book. I am really enjoying it. I like the kind of like enemies to lovers slow burn kind of thing that's happening. Like, we haven't even got like even a sense that maybe they'll get together, which I think is actually really good because they're like enemies. And the reason that they're enemies is because what happened 13 years ago when they were in high school is that our main character, Helen, her younger sister, jumped in front of a car, and it turned out to be Grant's car. Like, it literally could have been any car, but it just happened to be Grant's car that she jumped in front of. And unfortunately, because of that, she did pass away. So like Helen and her family, they don't want to be mad at like Michelle, who's the sister or the daughter who did that. They want to be mad at Grant because he was the one driving the car, even though like we know it literally could have been any other car, any other driver that she jumped in front of. It just happened to be Grant. And so all of their like anger and grief and stuff is kind of like projected onto poor Grant. And so she stays away from Grant. She hates Grant. And Grant obviously is going through a lot of complicated emotions because of what happened, because he's like, I shouldn't have driven, like all of this. But then we know that it's not his fault though. Like, he wasn't the one to do anything. It wasn't like he purposely did it. And so it's very interesting that it's very like complex and complicated just because of like human emotion and just like how grief works. So I think that that's really cool and it's being handled really well. We're 13 years from that event now, and Helen is a pretty popular like YA author, and so she is like kind of moving all the way to Hollywood to pretty much meet with the people who are going to be writing the TV adaptation of her book. And I think that's really fun because we get to meet all of these different characters, kind of get an insight into how that industry works, and then of course all the drama with Grant, because Grant is like second in command in like the screenwriting group that is responsible for turning her book into a TV show. Helen is trying to be polite, and it's really, really hard for her because she still blames Grant. And then Grant is just like trying not to let it get to him. And he does actually have a panic attack over it. And I was like, you know what, it's realistic that happened. And it makes sense. And it's handled and written it's very well done. And I'm really enjoying it, especially when they had their kind of retreat where they all went camping together to try to like become closer, because Helen is a very closed off person because of like what happened with her sister, and so it's really hard for her to let people in, and she's just not meshing well with the group. So they do this like camping thing, and from then it was just like, it was really fun and really cute, and I'm having a really good time. I am pleasantly surprised with like the themes in this book and how well it's handled. It really is more than I even expected. I was expecting just this kind of fun little enemies to lovers rom-com, but this is like a serious but also funny book, if that makes sense. And it's like, it's really good. Honestly, it's like surpassing my expectations right now. And yeah, I really hope that it continues to do that, because I am only about 100 pages in. So yeah, I will update you when I'm about the halfway mark of this book. And so I will see you then. I'm now a little bit more than halfway through How to End a Love Story, and you can see by my cheeks, it's making me blush hardcore. It's funny because in my last update, I was like, yeah, there's not like too much like, ooh, they like each other vibes going on yet. Like they were maybe starting to, but now it's, oh my goodness. It's my favorite. It's my favorite kind of thing where they're just like, I need to compose myself 1 second. They are constantly teasing each other, like not even kissing each other. Instead of like a kiss on the lips, it'll be like a kiss on the ear or the forehead or like the neck or something. And they're doing it. They're kind of playing this little game, but they don't know what the rules are. And it's like, it is so good. It's so good. Oh my goodness. And then what I really like is that you have this like this slow burn, this enemies to lovers, this like all of this tension, which as you know was like my favorite thing when it comes to like a romance story. There's so much tension, and even though they obviously are like doing stuff now, they're not doing all the stuff, like the usual stuff that you would expect, and it's like, oh my goodness, I'm having such a good time. Yeah, this is really good spice. This is yeah, I'm a big fan of this book. It's also really fun just to see how far they've come from the teenagers that they were to like who they are now, and then also their families and like what that looks like, and then the people from their high school and all of this. So I just think I'm just really loving this book so much. It's so good. So my cheeks are so red. Oh my goodness, I keep blushing. This book. Yeah, so I will update you either like a little bit towards the end or when I finish the book. I feel like it's gonna be more likely when I finish the book because I cannot stop reading this. So I just need to know what happens. So I will see you in my next update. I just finished How to End a Love Story, and oh my goodness, this was such a good book. The writing of this book is so well done. The characters are so good and complex and realistic, and I almost cried like 5 times. I didn't actually cry though, so I don't count it. I just I felt a lot of emotions in this book, and everything was just so well done. I love it. I love the book. I also really like the way that it ended because I can't spoil it for you, but with the parents and kind of how that comes to be. I think that that's realistic and that makes sense why it was done like that. And I love this book so much. I really wasn't expecting it to be as mature with those complicated themes and emotions. Like, I knew there were gonna be complicated emotions, but I didn't expect it to be as deep and hardcore and amazing as it was. I was really just expecting like your run-of-the-mill enemies to lovers kind of story, but this was way more. This exceeded my expectations. I love this book. I am so sad that I already finished it. I just want to read it more. Funny enough, I have 2 copies of the same book. This is an advanced reader's edition, not for sale, so it's got the little circle there, and this is the one that I bought before I got this one. So I mean, I'm not mad about it because I love this book so much. So now I got 2 copies of the same book. One is softcover and one is hardcover. But I got this one for free, which was pretty cool. But yeah, I love this book so much. I love the way that Michelle's situation was handled. I love the complicated emotions that not only did Helen and Grant go through, but everybody, like their mom and their dad, and just like people in general when it came to that. How that affected all of these characters as they continue to grow up in the world and make their way through the world. And I like how realistic it was that the last conversation Helen had with her sister, she thinks about it all the time and there's nothing she can do to change what happened. She can't go back in time. She can't do any of this. And so living with those memories and those times together, it was just so well done. There is definitely a trigger warning for this book with mentions of suicide and panic attacks and all of that delightful mental health stuff. But I really do think that it's worth a read. I think it's so well done. I love seeing mental health in books handled in the appropriate way. And I just love it. I just love this book. So I think you can already guess, I am awarding How to End a Love Story a total of 5 stars today. That's a pretty high rating. I devoured this book. I really did. I love this book. I'm gonna miss it. I had such a good time with this. I definitely recommend this book. So the next book that I'm going to be reading is Sally Hepworth's Darling Girls book. This is a thriller story and I am honestly really excited for it. And so if you're interested in watching me read Darling Girls, Brandon Sanderson, any other book that happens to be in my never-ending TBR, definitely hit the subscribe button if you haven't already and turn on the bell notification. That way you get notified anytime a new video comes out. If you enjoyed this video and if it's amazing that I have 2 copies of the same book, definitely hit the like button and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!